back in studio once again with our own Abby St. John to run down through the sports of the 2019 calendar year. I think what better way to kick it off than a team that was in last place to start 2019 with the St. Louis Blues, who of course came back to win the Stanley Cup.
I think that was impressive, not just because they beat the Bruins and everyone loves when the Bruins lose, but the fact that, like you said, they were dead last in the standings in January. And then just one smart move by acquiring rookie goaltender Jordan Binnington, they blew everyone away, went on a franchise record-breaking win streak, and managed to win the Stanley Cup Finals for the first time against the Boston Bruins, who they lost to in the Stanley Cup Finals in 1970, which was their last Stanley Cup Final appearance. So it's definitely a rematch that they blew away.
For sure, and you mentioned that that's the last time they made the Stanley Cup. If lots of people at home know the famous picture of Bobby Orr flying through the air, that is the matchup that Abby is talking about. And like you said, they went on that, real hot streak there, a franchise record. And it all started when Chief Craig Berube, the Alberta native, came in and took over in November. He really just turned that team around. And sometimes it's just, one or two pieces being for the St. Louis Blues, goaltender Jordan Binnington and coach Craig Berube. Binnington, he's one of 5 goalies in NHL history to have his first 20 wins in the NHL within his first 25 games. So just saying that and bringing up those numbers, it's almost like, it would be hard to believe that he didn't win the Stanley Cup after posting those kind of numbers, and really just watching the buy-in from that team and hearing what some of the teammates, some of the players who are on that team have to say. It sounds like a winning environment that everybody wants to be a part of. As you see Braden Shen re-sign with them this summer, people want to be there, and I think I'm a big believer that Craig Berube is that main reason why they were so successful. A couple other sports where people have seen success, specifically in the NFL this year. Yeah. And I mean, there's been a couple stud quarterbacks who have really ran away with the games this year.
Yes, definitely. To start out, Lamar Jackson, he has always been kind of a name, and he's talented, but this year alone, I think, is one of his best seasons. And just the fact that he just came out on the scene and exploded, but then he beat Michael Vick's single-season rushing yards record by over 100 yards. He's currently sitting at 1,206. Michael Vick was at 1,036. And so it's so impressive that the season's not even over. So his numbers are going to continue to climb. And the fact that he was able to do that, the record has been standing since 2006. And no quarterback has been able to break it until this year and until Lamar Jackson, which I think is impressive. And then another quarterback, longtime vet, Drew Brees. He's been on the scene for so many years. He beat Peyton Manning's touchdown record, and he is ahead by 2 touchdowns. Tom Brady follows him by 3, which is funny because Tom Brady just won his 6th Super Bowl. So it's interesting, like looking at different stats. Does the stats make the player great, or does the amount of wins make the player great? That's kind of the debate that opens up because, Drew Brees doesn't have 6 rings. Tom Brady has 6 rings. But Drew Brees has gotten way more touchdowns than Tom Brady. So it's definitely an interesting debate, but it's amazing just how good Drew Brees really is, and people definitely need to hold him higher.
For sure, and those touchdown numbers do not include playoffs. That's regular season only. So I guess you could have that debate there. Tom Brady, rather. He's dominant throughout playoffs and maybe even takes it a step higher there. But I just want to ask you one question quickly. Lamar Jackson, do you think he's changing how quarterbacks are going to be developed from now on? When he was entering the draft, there was questions. Are they going to turn him into a running back or a DB? But, I mean, I guess keeping him at quarterback has done the Ravens well. So do you think that's going to change how quarterbacks are developed?
I think so. I think the game is now turning into more of a running game. It is definitely a rush game. And having a quarterback that is able to escape the pocket and run around and run fast and maneuver around other players to get where they need to be, I think is definitely going to be the way quarterbacks are now being formed, because you have quarterbacks like Russell Wilson who can move so quickly and get out of the pocket, and then Lamar Jackson coming out and just explosive run games, you know, running and finding the smallest holes and just barricading his way through it and being successful 95% of the time, I think is the way quarterbacks are now going to be developed, because you need that aspect of running. You know, you look at Tom Brady or Ben Roethlisberger, they can't run as, you know, well as most, so they don't really perform as well anymore because the game is now evolving into more of a rushing game.
Well, I guess only time will tell if the possible MVP this season, you know, how he changes the outlook on the NFL.